In this section, we are going to be creating a host scanner, which is basically a Python tool that will scan the network and then get us all the host devices that are connected to that particular network. So, and I have an algorithm for it. The M, and we have the M. Our aim is to create a program that will scan the network and get us all the hosts connected to the network and print out their IP and MAC addresses. And as an algorithm, we have the first step. The first step, we are going to ask the user to enter a target network, IP address of a particular device that he wants to find on that network, or a whole network range. Enter the whole network range of the subnet, the devices you want to find on the subnet using the CIDR notation. And then secondly, our tool will scan the network and get us all the hosts that are connected to that network. And then finally, in step number 3, is going to print out the host with their IP addresses and MAC addresses. So as a program flow, also we have the first function. The first function, we are going to have a function to get argument over the terminal. That is basically the target that the user of the program wants to scan, and then a function to scan the network, and then a function to print out the result. And this these functions map to the steps we have in the algorithm. Also, I have already created a file, host scanner, and I have named it hostscanner.py. I have written the shebang and a comment to describe the purpose of the program. So let's start scripting. So the first thing, we are going to create the function that will get the target network that the user wants to scan from the terminal. So I use def, which is the keyword, to create a function, and then I specify the name of my function, get target. Okay, yes, get target. Sorry, get target. All right, so let's add a comment. It's always good to document our program with comment, so that whoever see the comment will know what that particular line of code is trying to achieve. All right, so a function to get target over the terminal, to get target over the terminal. All right, so I have this. Now we get target. Now, as we have did earlier in our first program, mark changer, now we are going to be using a module called argfast, as we did in the first program, in the previous program we created. So I'm going to import a module. So let me also put a comment. Import modules. All right, so I'm going to start importing the modules that this program need to get running. So and that module that we are going to import is module argfast. Pass. All right, and what does it do? It enables us to get options about the terminal, okay, about the terminal. All right, now we are free to now use this module and create this function proper to get target from the terminal. So first of all, we are going to create an object as we did earlier. Parser equals to the module argfast, and in that module I want to make use of a class called argument parser. So basically I'm creating an object, instantiate an object. Instantiate an object. So basically what I'm doing here, I created an object of class argument parser, and I have named it parser. So now this object parser will now have access to all the functions, to all the functionalities of this particular argument parser class. All right, so and the first thing we're going to do, we are going to access a function from this particular class argument parser using using the object that we created, parser. So I'm just going to say parser using dot reference operator to get access to that particular function. Add argument. Argument. So this function will enable us add the argument whose value we want the user of this program to specify over the terminal while running this particular application. So, and I'm going to make use of the -t option, -t, and then -t parameter target. All right. So these two parameters, -t or -target, or is the name of the option that the user will use, and then enter the value, their value, over the terminal in the course of running this application. So to enter the value for the target, the user will now write -t and then write the target network that he wants to make use of this tool to scan, as we have already seen this earlier in the first program that we created. Now next, I'm going to specify another parameter, dest, and then target. Now dest parameter specify the actual variable that will store the value of this particular target. So when the user of this application, you make use of the -t or -target to enter the value of the target network that you want to scan. Now the actual value now is not stored in the variable dest and the variable target, which we specify using the parameter dest. Right. Now next, I'm going to next parameter is help. And then this is the help menu that will be outputted when the user enter -h to get access to the help menu of this particular application. So specify a target to scan. All right. So this is all right. So this line is too. Let me take it down. I can just put. I can take this one down. All right, so I can just put a colon. All right, so break the line. All right, so that it is, so that we can all see it. All right. So now the next thing that we are going to do, we are going to now call a function that will now go over the terminal and get the value of the target network that the user has entered over the terminal, and then make it accessible to our program, and then input it into the application so that the application will have access to that value. All right. So and that function is passAx. All right. So we are going to also invoke it using parser, which is the object that we created, and then using the dot reference operator, and then we said passAx. Ax is a function going to be followed by a parenthesis. All right. So and then I can put a comment, pass over the terminal. So basically, passAx is a function that will now go over the terminal and get the value of that option, of the value of the target network that the user has specified over the terminal, and that make it accessible to the application. All right. So passAx, pass over the terminal. All right. Now after getting the value, now we want to assign it to a variable. So let's say option, as we did in our first program, option equals to parser.passAx. So now after passAx function has getting that value from the terminal, we want to assign that value to variable option. All right. So now what if in the case the user has not entered the value of the target network over the terminal? Now we want to check that to make sure that the user has actually entered the value over the terminal, as our program will have a problem. So I can put a comment, check to see that the user has actually entered the value. Check to see that the user has entered the function, has entered an option. All right, so and to do so, I'm going to make use of parser. Okay, sorry, I'm going to make use of if selection structure to now check if not option dot target. So now I am using target. I'm using option, which is the variable that contains the value that the user has entered over the terminal, because parseAx function has now go over the terminal, get their value and assign it to variable option. Now we can access target, because option knows that what target actually means, the actual value for the target network that the user has specified, because we say dest equals the target. Now we want to check to ensure that the user has actually entered that value. So that is how we're using if not option dot target. That means if that value doesn't exist. So if it evaluated true, then we want to output an error message, parser that error, using this error function to now notify the user that he didn't enter any value, so the program will not run. So okay, so in a very friendly tone, let's remind him, hey buddy, you need to specify a target to get the tool kicking. All right. All right, so hey buddy, you need to specify a target to get the tool kicking. All right, so also let me break this down. The color of it, close the string, and then also close this one here. So space, and then right. So this error message will now from the user that he hasn't entered, and then now then we want the program to exit, so that the user will now need to rerun the program again. So rest system exit. All right, so now what if the user has entered the value? Now else, now if the user has entered the value, what do we want the program to do? We want the program to return the option the target, that is to the line of code within our program that invoke this particular function. So we want it to return the value of the target that the user of this program has entered, the value of the target range that he wants to scan, and he has entered over the terminal. Now we want this function to now return it to the line of code that invoke this particular get target function, because that is basically the function. That is what this function get target is trying to do. Just go over the terminal, get the value of the target network that the user of this application wants to scan, get the value, and then return it to our program, and then give it to any line of code that wants to make use of it. All right. So now let's make sure that our program has been implemented properly, has been written properly. Now let's run it. So let us print it out. Print. So now we invoke the function. We call the function get target by just writing the name of the function. It doesn't define any parameter. So while invoking it, we don't need to specify any argument in the parentheses. And now we just want to print out the whatsoever the value this particular function is returning. So let me go over the terminal and run it and see whether everything is okay. So I'm clear the terminal. I will navigate to the directory where this file is residing, desktop, lectures. Okay, and then let me clear the terminal, and now sudo, so that there won't be any permission issue. Find Python 3, and then the name of the file is hostscanner.py. And then now let's run the program test with my install. Let's see how the program behaves. Right, let me enter my password. All right, so we can see the error message here, buddy. You need to specify a target to get the tool kicking. All right, which is the error message that we specify because we didn't enter any target. Now let's specify a target now and see whether this program will work. So let's say we want to scan 10.0.2.1, and then we want to scan this particular host. Now let's see. All right, so we can see that our program is our function is working properly, because we just wanted to print out the whatsoever the option that the user of these programs will spy over the terminal. As we have coded it here, we just want to print it out, and the program has achieved that functionality. So this particular function get target is working properly, and it has achieved its objective. Now in the next lecture, we are going to script the next function, which will actually scan the network and get all the devices that are currently attached to that particular network.